You want to fight? You want to argue? We'll fight. I'll give you something to fight about. Hi, I'm Nick Shell. We're going to talk about hair loss. I'm going to make it very clear what my perspective is. And in doing so, I'm simply sharing with you my theory. What I fully understand, perhaps the majority of you will disagree with me on this. And that's okay, because we're mature, we're emotionally intelligent, and we can understand that someone can believe differently than you, and you don't have to hate them, and you don't have to hurl insults at them, because we can't prove who's right here. We can't prove it. This is all hair loss theory. So I've been reading the comments, and of course the comments is where most of the content comes from. I'm seeing a lot of discussion about people saying that hair loss is a disease. So get ready, buckle up, because you're about to hate me for the next couple of minutes. Because here's what I want to say. I don't believe that hair loss is a disease. Let me say it again, bolder and louder. I don't believe that hair loss is a disease. I don't believe that. Here's what I believe. And it's okay to disagree with me. It's okay if only a few people agree. I'm okay with that. I'm confident in myself and in my beliefs. Yet I'm open-minded. If someone can prove otherwise, I'm open to it. But what I have observed after hours upon hours, we've got over 1,200 videos on this channel about hair loss. I've kind of by default becoming an expert on this based on patterns that I see. Here's why I don't believe that hair loss is a disease. And not only do I not see it as a disease, I don't even really see it as any kind of any kind of health condition whatsoever. For me, it's like this. It's this cut and dry. Either A, you were born with genes. When you were born, you had no control of it. You were just born this way. You were born with genes that would cause you to have a hairier body, grow a beard by age 18, have visible hair on your arms and legs. You're a hairy guy, a hairy body. But because of that, you also will lose your hair or have thinning hair as you get older. You're either that guy, or you're the guy who doesn't really have that much body hair. If I were to look at your arms, I really wouldn't see much hair on your arms. And you kind of felt left out when your friends in the locker room were talking about they're shaving their face every day, and you're not. In fact, you were 25 before you started shaving. You're just not a hairy guy. However, you get to keep your hair. And even if you do start having a receding hairline, you wouldn't have this hairline until maybe you were in your 70s or something like that. You keep your hair in your head. And that's the trade-off. I believe we're designed to be either or. You don't get to choose. And of course, if we could choose, we'd choose to keep our hair and say, I can forgo the facial hair as long as I can keep my hair on top of my head. That's the default choice. But I don't believe we were designed that way. I believe it's a lottery, and you get one or the other when you're born. You can do whatever you want to do to stop it, and try to stop it, and try to slow it down. But ultimately, some of us men were simply called to be hairier guys, to be bearded ones. We're going to be thin up here or bald up here, but we have the potential to grow the hair here. As if God was saying, you know what, Joe? I don't know why I said Joe. You know what, Joe? I need you to be one of my bearded ones. I need you to have the beard. But God, what about my hair? Don't worry about the hair. It'll fade away. But you will be known as the bearded one. Because that's how I've designed it. I've designed it where some men will have hair and some will have the ability to have beards if they choose to. That's my theory. Now, obviously, there's exceptions to the rule. I want to be so clear that there are men who've never been able to grow a beard and they were bald by 20. And that there are men who have a Norwood 1 and they've been shaving since they were 14. There's going to be exceptions. But I believe that you're born one way or the other. And whatever you do to stop it is ultimately futile. I don't believe that if you just simply take certain herbs or change your diet a certain way that it's going to really prevent the inevitable. If it's in your genes, it's in your genes. And we talked a lot yesterday about this whole, my original theory, and it's original, it does not exist on the internet aside from me. I invented it. If anyone talks about it, they've talked about it after I already brought it up. But we have to go back to my theory about the 1-year-old photo. I'm telling you, how your hair looks as a young boy is a projection of how your hair is going to look as an adult. It is. And I've been paying attention to this even more. Even with my son and his friends, I'll see certain ones of them. And like even with my son, I can see that his hair is like sandy blonde or whatever, or sandy brown. But then like up here, it's a little bit thinner and it's a little bit lighter color. I'm like, yeah, when his hairline starts maturing, that'll be the first to go. Like, I see this. We're designed, it's in our DNA to be either or. You're either going to be a bearded one with thinning or balding hair, or you're going to be the guy that's not hairy, doesn't have much body hair, but keeps his hair up here. You're designed one way or the other. That is strongly what I believe. And again, there's definitely exceptions to the rule. But what I'm not looking for are exceptions to the rule. I'm looking for general rules that we all can learn from. Because when we can accept this as a fact, we can start accepting that those of us who are bearded ones, that it's futile, that it's useless, that it's pointless to try to fight how we were designed. Because that's where I'm going with this. My channel always comes back to you being relevant in society, not because of hair or lack of hair, but because of all the other things that society depends on you for. So that's why I'm preaching this big, because we've got to accept that some of us weren't designed to keep our hair. Some of us are bearded ones. It goes back to your picture at 1 year old. So what are you? Are you a bearded one who's a hairy guy, could grow a beard by the time you're out of high school, maybe by 16 like me, but you also started seeing your hairline go up and started noticing the thinning by the time you were probably 18, 19, 20? Or are you the guy that they made fun of in the locker room or the swimming pool because you didn't have any hair on your chest or on your legs or your arms or whatever? You're just not a hairy guy, but you haven't had to worry about hair loss. You're one or the other. To fight this is pointless. This is my theory. I expect some of you to definitely disagree, but I think I'm onto something.